Welcome, Yugenji. You are wearing an Assamese gamusa, and this is
As
the beginning.
always.
This is the beginning of Assamese New Year. This month begins the Assamese New Year. So, প্ৰথমতে মই আপোনাক ৰঙালী বিহুৰ শুভেচ্ছা জনাইছো. I offer my
To you
Bihu
as well.
greetings to you.
Yes, I understand this much Assamese. Thank
okay,
you
great.
to you also.
Great.
All my shubhechas. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for sparing time. Now, you are a very busy person. I understand that. So we should not, without any preparation, prologue, we should just straight away go to the first question. Now, my first question is, after the first phase of the election, what is your general understanding of the situation in the country?
Uh, my overall sense is that the election is getting tighter, closer. What has been presented to the country as an election which is one-sided, as an election which is already a given conclusion, as an election which is already a done deal, where everyone has been made to talk about 400 plus. The reality on the ground is that the election is much closer than it has been imagined to be, that the first phase was already more inclined in favor of the India coalition for reasons that we will discuss. And the turnout figures that have come from the first phase are indeed very, very significant. They are the first indicator of what is actually happening in this election. And it shows that BJP is in a very difficult situation.
Okay. So now, one thing I just want to know, see, you have been working for protecting democracy and constitutional values, the way you are doing it all over the country, involving the civil society organizations, the mass movement people, and here also in this part of the country, we are also trying whatever little way we can do. So we are, you and we are both against the present regime. So at times we are little subjective about our understanding of the situation. But we have also seen all over the country recent protest movements, various kinds of things against this government. And do you think that all these protests and movements and agitations of people all over the country will not have some effect, we shall not see some reflection of these protests and agitations in the election?
Pareshda, I would slightly modify what you said. You said we are against the current regime, which is true. But the fundamental reason for that, and I'm sure you would agree, is because we are in favor of the constitutional values. We are in favor of democratic institutions.
Yes.
And anyone who stands against that, today it is BJP, tomorrow it can be Congress, tomorrow it can be some other party, whoever is this. We have to defend our constitutional values, democratic institutions, and the Republic of India. That is what we are.
Absolutely.
On your substantive, you are right that I see a lot of friends getting swayed by this because, what happens in elections, and I've seen it for the last 30 years, that whichever side we happen to favor, we tend to believe that they are winning. So we tend to mix our hopes with our expectations. And over the years, I have tried to make that very, to separate the two. And I'll begin with an example. I had the misfortune, I would say, of conducting an opinion poll immediately after the massacre in Gujarat in 2002. Elections were happening, and the frontline asked us to do a poll. And we did the poll. The results were very saddening. very shocking that Mr. Modi's BJP was way ahead. But what we did, and this is recorded for posterity because it was published in the front line, we actually said there's a wave in favor of the BJP. BJP is winning this election. And separately, I recorded my own unease about it. But facts should not be distorted. I think one of the worst things that we can do is to fool ourselves. That we should not do. So hopes are one thing. Therefore, in our discussion today, we should stick to objective situations, objective parameters, facts of the case. And wherever situation is difficult, we should say it is difficult. Why mix the two things?
But here I would just want to add one thing. Now, I have been reading your things. I have been actually watching you on various platforms, but I have seen you being very, very careful about your use of words. You are very careful. You are very careful. You are always very controlled while saying things. So I have observed it over the years, particularly last 1 or 2 years, that you always restrain your subjectivism. You do not want to mix your subjectivity, your intention with while analyzing the reality, the objective situation.
That is the effort, Paresh Bhai, and all of us should make that effort because, as I said, nothing is worse in this world than trying to fool yourself. So one should not fool oneself. I'll give you an example. After what happened in Manipur, I would like, and many of my friends believe that the whole of Northeast would stand against the BJP and would say, "This is what you are doing to Manipur." I would like to see all this. I would like to see Manipur, the rest of the country, especially peripheral regions of the country, to stand up and say, this is a threat to our existence. What you are doing to Manipur today, you will do to me tomorrow. So I would like to see that. However, I don't see that. I don't see elections in Nagaland or Arunachal Pradesh or Meghalaya or Tripura or for that matter, Assam being
Yes,
influenced by
correct.
what is happening in Manipur. Now, that is sad. But I cannot lie. I cannot say because of Manipur, the whole of Northeast is up in arms. That would be factually wrong. So we have to be truthful while saying that, well, I feel very sad. And I must say, I do feel very sad that the tragedy of Manipur does not travel even to Guwahati, let alone to Delhi. It doesn't travel to Delhi. I know that. It doesn't travel to Haryana. People don't even know what's happening there. But even in Guwahati, I don't see that it's traveling that much. So it's a sad fact, but we should be objective about what we say instead of simply putting our hopes in whatever we report.
Yeah. So now, what is your understanding, the general understanding of the situation?
Let's start with the first phase. First phase of elections that happened yesterday, 102 constituencies, because it was the largest phase. Of all the 7 phases, this was the largest phase, 102 constituencies from 21 states. So in a sense, a sample all over India, except the
Yes.
western area. There's not much west there, but otherwise, much of India, a sample of that was represented. My assessment is that for reasons that I would just spell out, India coalition has had a head start in this first round. The reasons for that are threefold or fourfold. 1 or 2 of which is pure coincidence. There's nothing special about it. And 1 or 2 are substantive and political. Coincidence is this, that out of these 102 constituencies, India coalition had 49 seats in the 2019 results. And NDA had also exactly 49 seats. So they are at par. It's a coincidence because actually in the parliament, as you know, NDA was much bigger than India coalition. Because of the presence of Tamil Nadu, there is an artificial parity. And if you take into account assembly elections which have been held since 2019, then actually the score is 55 in favor of India and 42 in favor of NDA. Because, for example, in Rajasthan, BJP swept all the 25 seats. But if you go by assembly elections, then out of these 12 seats, 9 seats would actually go to the India coalition. So taking that into account, it's 55-42. So there's a sort of head start that India coalition has purely by accident that will be covered up in the next few pages, which will be more lopsided in favor of NDA. So that's one. Second reason is that if you look at the regions that went to polls yesterday, many of these regions are places where, for various developments, political developments, India coalition has better opportunities. For example, number one, the east of Rajasthan. East of Rajasthan is an area where farmer movement was very strong. There has been enormous protest against the BJP. Second is the portion of Uttar Pradesh that went to polls. This is a portion with very heavy Muslim population, and where the Samajwadi Party and BSP had done very well last time compared to the rest of Uttar Pradesh. Mahakaushal in Madhya Pradesh is a region where Congress has traditionally been strong, and one of the few places where Congress can come back quickly. And Vidarbha, eastern Vidarbha around Nagpur area. This is also an area where Congress has traditionally been very strong and is expected to do well this time. So again, it's coincidence. There are regions where the opposition is doing well. Therefore, this round was loaded. And the third and the most important thing that I want to say, the reason why I think India coalition has begun this election with a head start, is the turnout figures. I hope you've seen the turnout figures so far.
Yes,
It has
yes,
been
yes.
reported. Unfortunately, not so well reported in the media of the country. What we are witnessing, Parish Bhai, now I have almost the final figures with me. Compared to last time, the turnout has gone down by 4.9%. That is to say, last time the overall turnout was 69.9%. And this time it's 65%. So 4.9%. Now that's not small. That's nearly 60 lakh people who would have voted if the turnout was at the same level as last year, as 2019. 60 lakh more people would have voted. So we are looking at a deficit of 60 lakh people yesterday. The question is, who are these people who have voted less? I digged up further and I said, all right, let's try and look at regions. Let us try and look at different combinations. Who were the winners there, in different places? So when I look at different regions and different states, I looked at different states. I'll give you some figures for states, so please bear with me. We are looking at there are different smaller regions have been reported. Sorry, state-wise, if we look at it, and I'll give you the overall average. We divided the entire of these 102 seats into NDA seats and non-NDA seats. Seats which were won by NDA last time and seats that were won by non-NDA parties last time. Now, remember the overall difference is 5%. In the non-NDA seats, the drop is 3.2%. But in the NDA seats, the drop is 6%.
A huge drop.
Double the drop nearly. Why is that the case? And that is my point. So what I think is happening is that a lot of people who had enthusiastically voted for Mr. Modi are not so enthusiastic this time. They do not want to come out and vote against the BJP. But they are voting by their feet, as they say, by not coming to vote at all. That is what is happening here. And that's why the BJP is dizzy. You would have noticed, you are a media person, you would have noticed some of these top media megaphones of the BJP. I won't name them here.
Yes.
They are writing on Twitter saying, well, there is no way for anyone this time. Now, these are BJP megaphones on television. They are beginning to concede that something is going wrong. Prime Minister comes up with a very anxious tweet saying, the response has been excellent yesterday. A lot of people have turned up and so on and so forth. Election Commission is saying, well, there was a lot of heat yesterday, as if there was no heat in 2019. These are hot. This is a hot season in the country. So all kinds of pretexts are being made. The fact is, BJP is jittery because of that. The turnout in BJP dominant areas has plummeted. And these are, I would assume, I do not have evidence yet, but the most obvious explanation for this drop is that over and people who had voted for Mr. Modi in out of enthusiasm, they do not have that kind of enthusiasm. That is why. So when I combine all these elements, I would say India coalition has begun with a head start, although that is not enough because this region happens to favor them. Later phases would happen to not favor them, so they have to make up for that, and there are various challenges that they have. That's my overall.
Okay. Now, one thing I just want to tell you here, you have been telling in different occasions, you have been telling that, okay, we want this election should be fought on Modi, Modi, Modi. There should be Mudda, issues. Modi versus issues. Now, does the first phase of the election give us some feeling that, okay, are people speaking more in terms of issues faced by them?
One thing I observed, I would not be able to make a very definite observation on that. I would simply talk about two things. One is an opinion poll, and one is my personal observation. A week ago, we had Lokniti CSDS came up with a nationwide poll. It's a large-scale poll. At least the good thing about that poll is that these people go to the field. They actually do the poll physically, not on telephone. And I don't trust telephonic polls. So physical poll where they go across the country. What do we discover? We discover that the top issues are unemployment and inflation. Price rise and unemployment are the top issues. That people are very concerned about corruption. People think corruption has got worse in Mr. Modi's regime. And they also believe that their livelihood situation has got worse in the last 10 years. So these real issues exist. Now let me supplement it with my own observations. I have been traveling in the Hindi heartland, not outside. Last few weeks I've been traveling and I need to travel again in other areas. So when we travel, the one thing I observed is that Mr. Modi is no longer someone who can stop all the conversation. Earlier, in the earlier elections, the impression was the moment you mentioned Mr. Modi, all conversations stopped. In 2014, whatever question you asked, the answer would be Modi, Modi, finish. In 2019, you ask any question, the answer would be Balakot, surgical strike, Pulwama, no other conversation. Now, when you travel, people talk about unemployment, people talk about Agniveer scheme, people talk about price rise, they talk about the performance of their local MP, they talk about local issues. All these issues are real, they are being talked about, they cannot be brushed aside. So I'm not claiming that Mr. Modi is not popular. I think he is. Even CSDS opinion poll confirms that. He is way ahead of any other competitor in terms of popularity. But the weight of that popularity, which is to say, is his name enough to silence all other issues? No, that's no longer. So the Modi magic, where his name was enough to get any lamppost to be elected, I support him, that's all. Then you don't need. That is no longer the case. That's beginning to shift. And that to me is the very important thing. So Modi versus Mudda, yes, Mudda is beginning to become a factor in this election. And that's bad news for BJP again, because BJP wants to win this election without any discussion about the real life issues. And the other thing that I found in North India is no one on their own talk about Ayodhya temple. If you probe, people talk about it. They are for it. unlike what you and I might believe, where they are happy that Mr. Modi got all this done. But this is not top priority for them. They don't talk about it unless you probe them for that. They, on their own, they talk about government performance. They talk about their livelihood issues. And if the election is fought on livelihood issues, BJP has very tough time.
Now, see that we have discussed your overall understanding of the situation, the first phase of the election, the mood of the people. Now, the next 2-3 questions I'm going to ask you will be about intentions. What should be? Now, you referred to Manipur. Now, okay, the tension in Manipur has not traveled into even Guwahati and other northeastern states. But now my question is, here is a double engine government. Here is a double engine government. And this government, this Manipur, this northeastern, a very important state of the northeast India, it's burning for last almost 1 year. Now, you say that okay, double engine government, and there is a government, state government is run by the BJP, central, Modi is the prime minister. Now, well, have we actually forgotten about Manipur? Have we altogether forgotten? How can we actually afford to forget about a state? How can we forget about a state? But the situation is such as if the government, the strong government, has almost forgotten about Manipur, as if Manipur is left out. Now, my question is, should that not be an election issue for the entire country?
Parisha, you know my feelings on this question. Of course, it should be an issue for the entire country. Of course, it should be an issue for all the women of this country. Of course, it should be an issue of federalism of this country. Of course, this should be an issue of minorities of this country. Of course, this should be an issue of human rights in this country for everyone. Unfortunately, and for that people like you and me are to be blamed, we have not been able to make anything that happens in the Northeast into a national issue. This is our fate. Those who call themselves secular, progressive, democratic, we have not been able to take the tragedy of Manipur to the rest of the country. But even looking at Manipur, look at the footage that is coming yesterday from Manipur.
Yes, yes.
I mean, this is what Bihar used to be infamous for 20 years ago. So here you have a polling day. People are holding guns. I saw some footage, people with guns are running inside the polling booth and police is just standing there watching it. What kind of a picture is this? You know, uh, and so in a sense, it's a triple tragedy. First, people of Manipur were abandoned by their own chief minister. Chief minister clearly almost declares that I'm the chief minister of one community of Manipur. I'm not a chief minister of Manipur. All right, in that situation, the prime minister has to step in. The prime minister of this country is mute, quiet. The only time he opens his mouth is to say all things are nice in Manipur. We have quiet. And then recently he claimed that but for our intervention, Manipur would have burned, as if it has actually not burned, and as if their intervention had actually achieved anything positive. So they were abandoned by the prime minister. And yesterday it seemed that they are being abandoned by the Election Commission of India as well. That you can do all these things. Congress agents are being pulled from inside polling booths. They are being thrown out. People are being open brazen rigging is taking place. And from what I could see, much of that is happening in the inner Manipur constituency. which is actually BJP's own claim to fame in Manipur. This is what BJP is claiming. And the BJP has actually taken a very strongly pro-Meitei position. Everyone knows that. It is in the Meitei section that all this is happening. So which actually proves that BJP is not confident even of the Meiteis. In whose name it has been creating all the trouble in Manipur, in whose name it is claiming to govern Manipur. they are clearly not with BJP. Otherwise, this is the one constituency where BJP should have just slept and said, all right, this constituency will in any case vote for us. Nothing of that sort is happening, which is to say, people of Manipur, neither in the valley nor outside the valley, are happy with the BJP. So this is a situation where at least the election commission should step in, the court should step in. The people of Manipur should at least have this confidence that, all right, even if the CM doesn't work for me, if double engine is double whammy for me, it doesn't matter. There is a Supreme Court of India, there is the Election Commission of India, we have some independent institutions. Unfortunately, they are doing nothing. I'm still waiting for Election Commission. The kind of things that I witnessed yesterday in Manipur, normally, if the Election Commission was independent, they should scrap that entire election and hold the election fresh in that entire state. And it has happened in the past. Election Commission has in the past, in some places, simply scrapped that entire election in one constituency. That is what should be done. So if it doesn't happen, if I was a Manipuri, what would I think? That no one cares for me. Government doesn't. Even so-called independent institutions don't care for me. So that is really very, very saddening, very frightening scenario. And since you and I read history, just think of its consequences 50 years down the line, 20 years down the line. What are we doing in this country? It's very sad.
Now, next thing I'm coming. Again, it is about our wish and intentions. Given the circumstances, how do you what you do expect, or what would be your actually message or your appeal to the India alliance for the coming phases of the election? Number one. And number two, what would be your appeal to the organizations, civil society organizations, who are actually fighting for the democracy, for the constitution, for the constitutional values, and the autonomy of the democratic institutions? These two categories I have spelled out very clearly. One is the NDA alliance, another is the civil society organizations. We're all together. So, what would be your distinct, clear appeal to both the groups?
One common appeal to both of them would be, please do not get affected by BJP propaganda. 400 par is pure psychological warfare. Do not take it seriously. This election is much closer than that, and it is getting closer by every day. So there is a possibility. So need to have a positive outcome. That's common to both of them. To the India coalition partners, I would say, number one, with folded hands, please do not put up candidates against each other. Please ensure, even if you have put up candidates, it's all right. Don't campaign for them. Whoever is in a position to defeat the BJP, because I know in Assam, in many places, they have put up candidates against each other. I would just say, as a citizen of India, as someone who's praying for the future of this country, please allow whoever is the dominant anti-BJP party to contest to win this election. Number one. Number two, if possible, there still are 45 days left. Please come up with one declaration saying what is it that India coalition will do for the country. Some positive declaration of 5 or 6 things. To my civil society friends, I would say, number one, whatever India coalition partners do, our duty is to support whoever can defeat the BJP and not be, sidetracked by anything. And number two, there are a few things which are not known to the people. Electoral bond is one of them. While you and I know about it, and we think the whole world knows about it, the fact is ordinary people do not know about it. So it is our duty to go out and spread 2 or 3 messages. Number one is the message of electoral bond. The fact that there was quid pro quo in that it is a scam. the biggest scam in independent India, and that the ruling party was involved in. Number two, the message of constitution. That constitution is at stake. We need to understand, all the communities should understand that in this election at stake is not merely who forms the government, but actually whether we retain the constitution of India, Baba Sahib's constitution, can we retain that? That is the challenge. And therefore, we should all overlook all minor factors. It is possible that the candidate is someone we don't like. It is possible that the party from India coalition is such that we have differences with. Please set all differences aside and please focus on the real big challenge of defeating the BJP. All other issues can be sorted later. And I would underline by saying it is possible to reduce BJP below the majority mark. Even today, it is possible to bring BJP below 272. And if that happens, someone might say, well, what would happen? They will still form the government by Biden. Look, given what is happening with ED, with IT, they will do anything, doesn't matter. But the moment they fall below 272, it is clear that people are not with them. And that is the most important message that we have to deliver.
I'm very happy to hear that from you, because whatever you have said just now, that is the way we are appealing to people here in Assam also. From the civil society organizations, we have been organizing many meetings almost every day here in various places, and we were very active during in last first phase elections, particularly in Upper Assam. And this is the message we are always trying to say to the people, that this is, I think we have not deviated from the main message of the Bharat Juru Abhijan. And I have, though I am taking this interview for Northeast now, I don't have any hesitation in saying that, in admitting that, particularly the kind of situation we are actually we have seen in the country and we are facing. So it was really nice talking to you, and particularly this encouraging words. I could feel that, and I have been watching your interviews at different platforms, and you have been so cautiously saying things. Maybe earlier you were little, you have observed the situation. Maybe with the passage of time, things are also changing, and changing for better. Now, now is the time that if we could push it a little further, we could give it a little momentum, isn't it?
Yes, indeed. Great to have spoken to you, and let's all look forward to a
Thank
situation
you.
where we can bring about a change in this country.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for
Thank you.
sparing
Thank you,
time.
Lana.
Namaskar. Namaskar. Okay.